Welcome back. All right, students across the province are heading back to school, but for many, it's going to look very different. Virtual school returns this morning under Ontario-wide lockdown restrictions, and this comes as the vaccination rollout continues, with some experts saying we need to act a whole lot faster to protect our vulnerable citizens. Ryan Imgrind is a COVID biostatistician, joins me now with a look at where we stand, our province, and as an educator, what we're looking ahead to. Good morning to you, Ryan.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. You are ready. We were talking on commercial break. As an educator, we're saying good luck to everyone. Are you ready to go?
I'm all set to go. Hope my students are as well.
All right. So let's start here with students in lockdown, with the province in lockdown and students staying home. Do you think that we have enough of a period of everyone staying home to make a big difference, especially with elementary students going back next week?
I think we have enough for secondary. 3 weeks seems to be enough time, but I'm worried that at the elementary level, 1 week is not enough time to make a significant difference. We're not going to see cases come down far enough in order for us to really warrant the elementary students going back next week.
So what would you recommend? And in the ideal world, if you could be the decision maker here to say we need X amount of time for everyone, what would you say?
Yeah, see, I'd like to see cases here in Ontario down to under 1,000 per day. I don't think 1 week is enough for that to happen. I do think that if we gave that 3 weeks, in the third, fourth week of January, we should be able to see cases at a more respectable level, hopefully under 1,000 per day.
So, Ryan, we've heard from Education Minister Stephen Lecce. He had an open letter issued yesterday saying, listen, the dates are set, right? Like, kids are going back on the 11th, but not without looking at that data, which we're going to see this week, because we haven't really seen the full outcome of what has happened over the holidays, correct?
Well, we're starting to. We saw what is called a reproductive rate of 1.2 on December 25th. That means that 100 cases on that day led to 120 more cases. That's a significant jump, and something that we see associated with every single holiday that we've had since this pandemic started back in March.
Wow. Okay, so let's get right to some of the numbers, because you've been crunching these numbers for some time as a leading voice when it comes to the vaccine rollout. You've provided us some charts here specifically on where we stand when it comes to the vaccine rollout here in the province. Last week when we checked in at some of your numbers, we were I believe we were last. So let's bring up those charts for you here. Where do we stand right now when it comes to getting those shots in the arms?
Yeah, so we're doing okay. Really what we want is those gray bars at the bottom to match the blue line at the top. We don't want any gaps between the vaccines that we have received and the vaccines we've also administered. Right now, Ontario seems to be on track with the rest of Canada, which unfortunately means that we've only been able to vaccinate 20% of those vaccines that we've actually received so far. Now that's a shame, because that means that about 20 to 30% are in the arms, but another 60 to 70% are still inside of freezers, and that really, really worries me.
What would be the ideal vaccination rate per day to get us to where we should be, or where you'd like us to be?
Yeah, we need around 30,000 vaccinations per day if we want to vaccinate the entire Ontario population by the end of this year. Right now, we're doing about 4,000 to 5,000 per day. So we need to really ramp that up by about 5 to 6 times in order to accomplish the goals we want to accomplish, in order to go back to some resemblance of normalcy.
Okay, so let's leave this chart up here right now. The red is where Ontario stands in comparison to the other provinces when it comes to vaccine rollout. Should Ontario arguably not be right up at the top?
We definitely should be. We have an excellent vaccine task force, which knew since the middle of November that this vaccine was coming. They knew about the cold storage requirements of this Pfizer vaccine. It has to be stored at negative 70 degrees Celsius, and yet for some reason, we're not at the top of this rollout. Right now, we should be, we have 146,000 vaccines. We've only vaccinated around 40,000 people. That means that there's 100,000 vaccines. Some of them have been sitting inside of freezers now for 2 weeks that really need to get into arms, especially arms of the vulnerable population, such as long-term care facility residents.
Let's talk about long-term care. That was actually my next question. Obviously, we've seen a number of infections at a number of long-term care homes, and sadly, a number of deaths. How would you plan a vaccine rollout for these long-term care homes?
Yeah, so I would certainly start with those long-term care homes. We need to make sure that either we can get the vaccine out there, or else we can bring the long-term care facility residents into the hospitals where we have these freezers where we can store the vaccine at negative 70 Celsius. The Moderna vaccine, it can be stored at a more respectable negative 20 degrees Celsius. So it's definitely one of those ones that we'd be able to bring out to homes. But what I would do is I would vaccinate all the long-term care facility residents and also their workers first, and then you can move on to essential workers. And and other people after that. But I think first you need to hit the long-term care facility residents and then hit the older population. It's the older population, 60 and above, which accounts for like 99% of the deaths here in Ontario. The 80 and plus population accounts for like 90 to 95% of the deaths here in Ontario. That's the population, that's the age group we need to hit.
Ryan, I want to just backtrack a little bit. When we look at the dates for our provincial lockdown, December 26th, there was a lot of criticism around that. Why didn't we lock down earlier? And you are all about the numbers, and you crunch those numbers. And if we had locked down, let's say, just a few days prior, what difference do you think it would have made?
It would have made a huge difference. It's approximately 10,000 cases. Now, you may just think, okay, but there's only a jump in those 5 days. Well, yes, but the issue is there's a jump in those 5 days, but then we also have to come down from a much, much higher rate. Now we have to lock down in order to come down from 3,300 cases per day. Had we locked down December 21st, we'd only have to come down from around 2,800 cases per day. In other words, we're playing catch up of about 600 cases per day, and that's going to happen for the next 3 or 4 weeks. That accounts to approximately 10,000 direct cases of COVID-19, about 200 fatalities, and then many, many canceled surgeries and canceled appointments because of hospital, the capacity being reached much faster than it should be. So we should have really locked down December 21st. We shouldn't have waited until after Christmas. And we're seeing the effects of that now with record cases well above 3,000.
Indeed, the effect on the hospitals is significant. Ryan, thank you so much for crunching all of these numbers as you do on a daily basis. And good luck to you as an educator. I know you sound geared up and ready, and hopefully your students are ready for you as well.
Sounds good. And thanks for having me. Take it easy.
You got it. Thank you so much for that, Ryan.